First of all, understand that it is not water that they're working with and then they're doing something to it, and that's what you're utilizing when you're taking these formulas. It is a formula, okay? It is a proprietary formula, which we're not privileged to know that, but it is a specific formulation that they put together. If you take that and analyze it, the ones that you drink, it'll come out to be water, and then it'll have saponins in it, which saponins are life force that comes from plants, and different levels depending on which formulation it is. But please do understand that. There are waters out there, but those are water that has been gone through a machine, a process, through an ionization. They are not kept stable at that point. These formulations are very stable. Okay, but they are working with a formulation, and that's important to understand. Also understand that in the household products, you literally are working with type of chemicals. And again, we have been indoctrinated through a lot of information that's been given to us through science and medicine, that we have only a certain understanding of how everything functions. The reality of it is, a lot of it is incorrect information. Because really, those substances can be utilized, and there can be a transformation made, and they can be acceptable to the planet and do not cause any problem. Because if you take these formulas, even if you were working, say, on your garden, there's a formula that's called Blossom. Okay, it's like a perfect fertilizer, and that was part of what you saw in the film. It changes. It becomes activated by water. Okay, so if you put it out to your garden and then you watered it, that's when the substance starts to work. That's when the formula becomes active, becomes alive. The same thing happens. One of the ladies was going up to take a drink of the meditation water, and I said, don't forget, after you drink some water. And she asked me why. And why is because the formulas get activated by water, spring water. Spring water because it's alive. You don't want to use distilled water. Okay? So in each of the situations, regardless if you're utilizing them in the home or if you're drinking it, that's activated by water. But do remember, these for the home are environmental. The ones that we drink are not. You don't take this and drink it, okay? But in reality, when this is mixed with water and utilized, it does have a transformation that does occur. And that's important to understand. Another thing that happened was when they were in Croatia, I was talking to a gentleman today, and I think you mentioned too about, you saw the film about the changing of the water with the intentions and so forth. Well, ironically, I had seen the same thing. It was on the internet, and they were showing the pictures. And they showed how if a person had healing intentions, there was a structure change. And if a person had very negative effects, there was a structural change. And they showed the pictures of this. Well, when we had the conference in Zagreb, there was a representative of someone who was working with this project, and she was there. And she said that they did that same thing with the formula. And the one that they did it with was the meditation formula, which is the one that Raphael has. This is the only one they had accessible at that time. They could not change it. They could not influence it. So it is not influenced by the negative energies. It stays what it is. It has its mission here, and that's what it's going to do. And it isn't changed by the negative energy. And I think that was pretty phenomenal. And I think a lot of people are getting more and more aware of that project by books, and because it was on the internet now. And then ironically, this lady comes to the conference. But the conferences are a lot of fun because we meet a lot of really nice people, but there's always a surprise. You never know what it's going to be. But you're bound to determine by the end of the workshop there's going to be a surprise. And I'm sure there was many of them that happened when they were in Zagreb. But that one was pretty unique for this conference because it was information that people were talking about here, and yet we had some added information we put on there. And we all are linked together. It's each one of you, just as each one of us, are a team. It's not one person. It's all of us working together that makes a difference. There's no small person. It doesn't matter if you have MD, CD behind your name, PhD, whatever. We're all exactly the same. We have God energy in us, and that's what makes us connected. And that's what this is all about. It's the energy, it's the working together, it's making a difference on our planet. Because if we don't stand up and make a difference, we're going to lose it all. And we've got some wonderful things here to work with. Let me talk a little bit about some of the, even though I'm talking mainly about the pure medicine, let's talk about some of the other formulas. The meditation formula is the one that some of you have been introduced to from Raphael, and that's one that anyone can take. All the formulas work on the basis of going into the body and balancing the body. They had done some tests also in Croatia and said it's a superconductive type formulas. They vary, but that just depends on the situation. But basically they go in and it balances the body. If any of you did any of the research that was done back in the 70s, and Albert Kruger and other medical doctors had determined that we became overbalanced in negative and positive charges. And there wasn't enough negative in our bodies, and there was too much positive. And he realized with a lot of other doctors and scientists that the positive energy was coming from a lot of environmental influences. And we needed to put negative back in to create the balance. That's what these formulas do. They go back in with that charge, put things back into balance, strengthens the body, makes it stronger, and that's how it's able to fight whatever's going on. The system works two ways. We have biomedical formulas that you do not have to be tested to be able to make the choice if you want to go onto the different formulas. The tools, Ryan's going to talk to you about the blood testing. It's an incredible apparatus, and you're truly going to enjoy what he's showing you. We also have EAV testings that sometimes we have an individual come, they'll do testing, they'd use the acupuncture points and test meridians and so forth. Those are tools, and they are very good for people who would like to see something visual, something to look at. Okay, and of course the blood is extremely interesting because it's a part of us. He takes something from you, he's able to show you something. But you literally can make the choice on your own to use any one of these formulas because basically they function to go into the body to make the correction of balance. And when it's doing that, it will affect everything. Mr. Dayuk did a speech one day, and in fact, if you go into our websites, there's two specifically. One is perfectscience.com, and the other one is sacredwaterps.com. Now, if you go into those, there's a couple articles that have been written. A magazine by the name of Mina Olin did a couple articles, and they interviewed Mr. Dayuk. And in one of them, when they were asking him questions about different conditions and so forth, and he said, they're really the same. They're really the same because no matter what the condition is, it's caused the body to become imbalanced. So if we put that mindset and the fact we take our freedom, our own personal strength, our empowerment, and move forward with making the choices on our own, we don't always have to have an outside influence that we go to and say, what's wrong with me, what do I do? But take it into your own personal space, your own empowerment, and say to yourself, I can learn about this and I can understand what I can do for myself. So you can make the choices on your own. You can purchase the formulas, get on them. Now, it's a system. Terry has done all the research. She understands how the formulas work. And it's important to work inside and outside the body simultaneously. So as you're drinking the formulas, you also want to work on the outside of the body at the same time. The skin being the largest organ, obviously we want to work with that. We want to take advantage of it. It's also the part of our body that's been attacked severely because of the exposure that we're getting from outside our body. It really is supposed to be our protective mechanism. This fly really likes it.
Use the blister.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Use a little this and see if that'll work.
Do you have insect repellent among your...
Well, let's see what happens with this. I don't know. There's probably else pushed in here.
I mean, is that one of the products?
To be honest with you, one thing we did notice, and this is just a side note, is that we work with horses, and horses are always being bothered with flies. And we found that if we give them the formula to drink, and we spray their food, they don't have as much flies. Now, exactly what happens under that circumstance, I don't know, but I do know that our daughters are trainers, and they work with a lot of horses, and they started to notice that they did not have to use the repellents like other people were because they weren't bothered as much by it. So there was something that obviously was happening with them that made a difference. But anyway, getting back to the concept of utilizing the internal and external products together is, okay, you're drinking the formula, so you're going through the entire system of the body. And one of it is the digestive system, which means eventually it has to go through the liver. But if you work with the outside of the body through the skin, you don't have to do that. So what you can do is you can take the formula, which is the bath concentrate, and you're going to take a half to 1 ounce of this, and you're going to put it into an empty tub, and then you're going to pour 2 gallons of spring water on it. and then you mix it. Why 2 gallons of spring water? Because that's making the formula become activated. You're expanding it. That's another terminology. It's an expansion of the formula. Then you turn the tap on and put the warm water into the tub and soak into the bathtub. It's an incredible experience. It works with your entire body, obviously the skin, but it also works with your energy field, and it will cause different effects. If you are very upset that day, tense, it'll relax you. If you need the energy, it'll energize you. It'll work where your needs are. The formulas do that also internally. It will go where the need is. But that's not so unusual. People who work with energy understand that, but even if you didn't understand that, if you looked at the video and realized where the formulas are going to go, to the point of the most contamination. So if you have a problem in your body, it's going to go where it's needed the most. And then it'll work on that area first, address it, and then start moving to the other points. The bath is the best way to use the bath formula, obviously, but if you are a shower person, you can take a little bit of it, mix it with spring water, put it into a spray bottle, spray your body before you go into the bath, into the shower, and then spray yourself when you get out. Remember, the other thing, too, is the fact that the water that you're utilizing from wherever you are has certain types of contamination in them. If you're in a city or not in a city or whatever, not just bathing in it. In fact, there's a book that's called Living Down the Stream. Ironically, the woman who wrote it, she's from the Midwest, where we're from. And what she was trying to point out in there was several different things. She was talking about diseases and contamination with the water and what it caused and so forth. But one thing in one chapter she brought up was in relationship to taking a bath or a shower and how much your body absorbs of the contaminants in the water while you do this. And she said that if you were in there for, I think it was like 15 to 20 minutes, something like that, it's like drinking a half a gallon of water. That's how much affected you are by that. Because you're getting it from the skin, but you're also inhaling it. So it's through the respiratory system also that you're being affected. Also, the products that you use when you bathe, a lot of them have chemicals in them. And don't be fooled just because you go to a health food store that what they have definitely doesn't have any chemicals in it. You have to read the labels, because a lot of them do. And they don't have a situation in there where they have formulated that it's going to go through a transformation and now you're going to have a product that doesn't have that. The beginning and end result of that product, you're still going to have that chemical in it. And propylene glycol and sodium lauryl sulfate is in a lot of them. So again, don't use something on yourself that you're going to be putting more chemicals in there. The bars of soap are just a pure soap that don't have any chemicals in it, so at least you know that you're utilizing something that doesn't have that in there. And again, remember, the water that you're utilizing from the cities that we live in do have contaminants. So you want to protect yourself at the time that you're taking a bath. Also, if you use the spritzer bottles like these mister bottles like this are great because it's a fine mist. This works with a vortex effect. It works with your energy field also, because obviously we're not just a physical body. And so we want to work with that. So if you are a person on yourself you're going to work with, it's great to do the spraying, of your body. If you're hitting your body, yes, you're working with the physical body, you're also working with the energy around you. Also, when you're flying, when you're traveling in the car, the spraying will work with the contaminants that are around you. We've been really lucky. We've been doing a lot of traveling, and I always carry a spray bottle with me. And of course, I spray a little extra when somebody's sneezing in the plane. But it's been great. We've been doing really good about not getting sick. And a lot of times we would travel and we'd end up getting a cold or whatever when we came back. Also, in your cars, with your upholstery or leather or vinyl that's in the car, there's a lot of, when the heat hits, you're going to get vapor. A lot of times you see a film that's inside windows, that's actually coming vapors from the chemicals. So again, if you kept one of these mister bottles in the car and you would spray in there, you'd also be able to work with that contaminated area also. Obviously the top of the head is an area where we absorb a lot of energy, and misting over that area is good. And then also you can use the external formula, which is the bath spot.